AITA for not apologizing to my friend after she screamed at me and my kid at her wedding. 2 weeks ago, I, F29, hubby, M31, and son, M4, attended my BFF's, F28, wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony, and everything was going great, until BFF and her husband cut the cake. Important context: BFF did speak to me during her wedding planning about being unsure on whether or not to allow kids at her wedding. Her 2 sisters both have kids around son's age, and she sees him as her nephew, too. But she wanted to be able to let loose and enjoy her wedding without worrying about any kids messing things up. I gave her my opinion, saying me and hubby allowed kids at our wedding and wouldn't have it any other way. The kids were still family and deserved to be included. After that, and speaking with her sisters, she and her husband oaked kids for the wedding. Now, the ceremony went swimmingly. BFF's nieces sat with me, hubby, and son, as her sisters were in the bridal party. I brought quiet activities to keep them entertained and everybody behaved. I even cried from how lovely it was. When we got to the reception, nieces were returned to their parents, so it was now just me, hubby, and son. Dinner went fine, and then the couple took to the dance floor for their first dance. Afterwards, everybody was welcomed to the floor to dance for a bit before cake cutting. At this point, the kids were running around and playing with each other, and it was a fairly secure space, and I knew almost everybody there, so I felt comfortable with son playing with the other kids, while hubby and I had fun dancing. Important to mention now, hubby offered to DD so I could enjoy myself, so I had had a couple glasses of wine at this point. BFF had also been drinking and celebrating. BFF and her husband go to do cake cutting, and hubby and I are a little slow getting there, so there was a crowd blocking our view. Suddenly, I hear BFF scream son's name. Hubby and I push forward to see what's wrong. I see my son with frosting around his mouth and on his fingers. The cake had a small chunk taken out of it. I try to apologize, but BFF turns around and yells, "This is your fault. Your son ruined my cake. He's only here because you told me it would be worth it to include the kids." I yelled back, telling her that it was just an accident and the rest of the cake was still edible. That this was her nephew she was screaming about. She told me I was no friend of hers and he wasn't her nephew, in front of everyone. She told me to leave or she'd call security. Son and I were crying ATP, and the 3 of us left. One of the bride's sisters reached out to me after and apologized for her sister's reaction, but said I needed to apologize. I think sorries are out the window now after her outburst. I told her sister so and said I expect an apology first before I'd say anything to her. Not only did she blow up at me in front of everyone, but at my son. I'm humiliated but even more angry on his behalf. So, AITA if I refuse to apologize first?